and welcome to Queer and Loathing, the only podcast hosted by three clones of Queen Elizabeth II. I'm your host, Brett Bodie, and with me as always are my co-hosts. I'm Mel. And I'm Samantha! Today, we're continuing our discussion of the movie Alien. If you missed part 1 of this episode, you can find it as Episode 1, Alien, Part 1, not to be confused with this one, which is Alien, Part 2. And it's also Episode 2. And we're back. I hope everyone spent the break quitting their jobs. And then also equally important, leaving a like on this video or leaving a review on the podcast, wherever you listen or do your
hit the bell
podcast consumption. Hit the bell to get the notifications. It really helps us out. Give us 5 stars or give us death. Those are the only 2 options.
And there's no way for you to give us money yet, but be ready. Get out the credit card.
Yeah. Call your bank, let them know.
No way yet to give us death. I was like, there's ways.
Call your bank, let them know you'll be making some hefty transfers in the future, just so we're all on the same page.
Prep.
Yeah.
Just let them know.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're back and we're diving right back into Alien. And I think we were still kind of on the Ripley versus Ash tension, which only escalates after the famous chestburster scene, which I think was the next big chronological moment.
Yes. After the face hugger comes off and it's who goes into the room? It's like
isn't it Ripley and Dallas and Ash? And they're looking for
and Ash are just looking for the face hugger. They know how it works, and they are just walking in there.
Not a mask.
They were not scared enough.
Just raw dogging it. Yeah. Just walking in with their faces, completely unprotected. They know this thing can literally eat through space level glass, and they're just poking their head into crevices.
Where are the weapons?
Where
were the containers?
A stick or so. Literally, they didn't have anything.
They were not ready.
Yeah, they didn't have a net.
They're like, try to find it.
That really struck me this viewing. I was like, why are they just barging into this room? That's keep the room sealed.
Yeah.
Forever.
As I said, people have been dumb.
Yeah.
In this franchise since the beginning.
And people have been dumb about quarantine and illness precaution since always. Mm-hmm. And we have, as a society, have really confronted that. So, it is somewhat plausible, but very frustrating.
I mean, even again, if they had just left him in there and they're like, this is our new quarantine zone, it still would have gotten out. It still would have gotten into the vents.
But I'm still
But it would have been side-eyeing them.
Why do you need to find it in this moment so unprepared when I guess the mission is to bring it back, so...
I think because they wanted to save, what's his name? Yeah, Kane or whatever. Because the facehugger was off of him. They wanted to see if he was alive because they figured, the facehugger was, giving him oxygen, they said. Yeah. So I'm sure that was, part of it is, well, he may be alive, but we do need to know because, we want to save his life. And that may have been their primary concern.
And then they don't quarantine him again.
Yeah. Because then he just comes to lunch or whatever.
He's fine.
Yeah, they find the facehugger. It's, apparently dead. Ash pokes it, and it twitches. And he says, it's a reflex mechanism. And you're like...
How do you know that?
Yeah, you can't know that. No one has ever seen this before. Yes, it seems like that. Like how snakes can, strike after they're dead.
Guessing.
Right, but you don't literally know that it's dead.
He pokes its labia, and it, crunches at him.
Yes, well, and we're justified because the art direction was done by H.R. Giger, who's famously preoccupied with kind of, techno, future, alien, everything's organic and fleshy and very phallic and yonic. And that, the part of the movie, the point of it was to make rape / pregnancy horrific to men. That was kind of the point. So the facehugger is this vaginal monster thing that fits over his face, but it also has a phallic insert down his throat that's feeding him oxygen. And he gestates the egg inside of him, and it violently bursts forth. And then it's...
Sounds woke to me.
Yes. It's a DEI.
No!
I wasn't going to say it first.
Sorry, folks. The wokeism is here. we didn't quarantine and we all caught the woke mind
It's very
virus.
DEI in here.
But yeah, so that like the sexual component of the movie like was very much intentional, and you can really see it in like alien
It's
ship
not
and like
subtle.
the design of the creature, the plot.
And I think when I was reading about it, that the face hugger was originally supposed to be like green, and they decided not to because they were like, oh, let's keep it flesh colored. And I'm like, that works.
Does make it
so
grosser.
much better.
I am glad they did that because it is creepy.
Well, there's a scene where Ripley is hiding behind like a table and her hands come up on the table and it almost looks like the face hugger's fingers because it just
Yeah.
looks like bony, like fingers, you know, that's little like, I guess that they are kind of its fingers. They're the color of like,
They flush.
it's basically what my hands are going to look like when I'm like old.
Yeah, it's already kind of what my hands look like. I've got long, spindly fingers.
They're not
Mine are very
as-
I've got
Full and
Sigourney
vibrant.
Weaver hands. I have beautiful
Ooh.
Oscar-winning hands.
When you put it that way.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, so that's very much intended, and it works so well to make, especially the face hugger. Like the alien is scary, but in a more like standard way of just like it's a big scary monster that's gonna get you.
And it's more like chrome and
yeah. It's shiny and goopy and
black
gross and
and-
everything, but it's not like
It doesn't seem as natural. Like the face hugger, I don't know. I have a problem with that. Like very much like, oh, this is a being, this is flesh, but like
yeah.
the monster near the end, like when he's camouflaging into the ship.
Yes.
And the little
Like, she didn't
little
even
ship
see him.
thing.
She's
exactly.
like right in front of him.
It kind of looks like more wires
yes.
and a dealy bop at the top.
Which is very much H.R. Giger as well, because it's kind of like the fusion
The
of like
machine.
flesh and technology, and yeah, and the alien almost is a machine in a lot of ways.
Which brings
like,
us
throughout Prometheus,
which
yeah,
brings
like-
us back to Ash, where you have another sort of creature that is filled with a dangerous blood,
Yes.
semen, and
Behaves in ways we like can't quite understand. But, like,
Yeah.
yeah, has its own agenda that is not apparent to us or the other characters, at least at first. Yeah, Ash really freaked me out this time, y'all.
yeah, he's part. I mean, he is one of the villains.
Yeah, he's like the main villain in the sense that he's the face of the company, who is the ultimate villain through really all the movies, I guess. It's not named in the first one, but I think in Aliens it's given the name Weyland-Yutani Corporation. And just like their corporate drone in the sequel is the main antagonist.
Yeah, and the xenomorph is just an animal,
Yeah.
right? Like it doesn't have malicious intent. Like
No.
it's just
Doing
creature
what it
with
does.
survival
it's
instinct.
just reproducing, right? Whereas Ash is plotting and manipulating, and I guess like I don't know, something that struck me having rewatched Aliens recently is like he attacks Ripley and she's just like racist against robots.
Yes.
It's
But
like,
I
oh,
really
she
get
is
it.
a white woman.
Yeah, but it's funny because like, especially seeing it really soon after the first one, you're like, I get it, because like
She also
that was also
just
2 weeks
woke
ago.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Traumatized.
she
Yeah, for
just
her that
woke
was
up.
2 weeks ago. She just woke up from like the worst thing. She's already knows she's going to see the alien, so she's already on high alert. And then she finds that there's also an android. She's like, wow, the two worst things there could possibly be near me. So I get where she's coming from. She is a little racist, but
Well, she has what Hollywood taught us is you just have to have one positive experience then with that group, and then you're fine again.
yes, it's much like
You've
Kanye
never,
West
ever been racist.
curing his anti-Semitism by watching
God.
21 Jump Street,
Oh yeah.
which is a true thing that he said, yes.
yeah.
Well, he
He
says a
literally
lot
said
of
Jonah
shit.
Hill was so funny in 21 Jump Street that
I
I'm
like
not
Jews again.
anti-Semitic anymore. Yes.
Oh my
He
God.
actually said this.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh no.
Well, unfortunately, you know that now.
Well, Kanye's super normal, so
Yeah.
he's just having a normal one.
He is.
Okay, so yeah, so Ash gets caught by Ripley. She figures out that he's not collating shit.
Yeah, because he keeps saying, like, she's
Collating.
like, have you figured out anything about the creature? And he's like, I'm still collating with Mother. And Mother is the ship's computer who is, like, running calculations, and obviously she is also gets her mission directly from the corporation.
And she's like an AI, right? Yeah.
And she's just like, she doesn't really do a lot with like the ship functions, it seems, because everything's very like physical with the crew manning it.
Yeah.
So she's more just kind of like AI assistant, like computer. She's like there to like enable the mission, I guess, and like give reports to the company.
Like if it was
mostly.
just her, the mission would not have gone forward, and that's why
Yes.
she needed Ash.
Yeah, and the and there's limited access to Mother because really Ash apparently is like, and maybe Dallas the captain is like the only one who gets access because at one point either I think it's like after someone dies, like Ripley moves up in the hierarchy enough to get access to Mother.
Well, she asks Ash for access.
Yeah.
But it's before Ash has fully committed to protecting the xenomorph.
Is that when he like appears next to her in the room?
No,
Okay.
because that's when he gets caught. So the first time is when it's when John Hurt is in a coma, and she's like, "Can I collate with Mother?" And he's like, "Be my guest." And then she just is like looking at all the binary code. But later, I think, is when she collates with Mother and is like, and then he appears next to her, and she's like, "Bitch."
She like, slams him against the wall.
Yeah.
Because she sees the mission and it's like, thinking that the mission is, haul this freight back to Earth. Secondary mission, check out this possible distress signal and report what it is. But she sees that the mission is actually like, retrieve specimen, all other priorities rescinded.
Crew expendable.
Yeah, and like she realizes that like Ash has known this all along, and he's here to implement that.
It was a setup.
That's why he broke quarantine. That's why he's been undermining her. That's why he's been like sneaking around, protecting this alien and getting it on the ship. And she just explodes in righteous fury.
And then she has to deal with that shit again in the next movie, man.
That's true.
She just has to go through it over and over again.
But I feel like that scene especially really shows how Ripley was originally conceived to be a male character, because she has like a violent physical reaction against Ash. She like slams him up against the wall, and I found that striking because I just don't often see a female character like, slamming like especially a coworker.
But I think she's also kind of supposed to be portrayed as more androgynous.
Yeah.
Right? Like her
That's
name's
true.
Ripley. She is the engineer.
Yeah.
She has sort of generic late 70s mullet. She's like, I don't know, she doesn't have like a face of makeup.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's,
near
definitely
the
coded
end,
way
they
less-
definitely
well, they put her in her
were less,
underwear.
yeah.
They put her in her underwear.
But she's coded way less feminine than Veronica Cartwright, who's also
Right.
in
Yeah.
the movie, who's presenting much more just like
Hysterical
stereotypically.
woman be hysterical.
Apparently, so I read this last night, and I don't know how true this is. I think this is on Wikipedia. Apparently, Veronica Cartwright went into production thinking she was Ripley, because she was. And then, like, 2 weeks
no.
before,
like
they did a switcheroo, and because I guess Sigourney had maybe auditioned later, so she was suddenly Ripley, and then Veronica Cartwright is,
That sucks.
yeah, whatever her name is. Because she's a good actor, also, like, she's in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Veronica Cartwright, and she's really good in it.
I mean, she's good in this movie.
She's also in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. She's the little girl in the farmhouse. She was a child actor. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah, I saw that last night, and I was like, oh, wow. She's been in two
been
very
in it.
iconic horror movies. But yeah, that did just strike me. Like, yeah, I could be wrong, but just jumped out to me of like her slamming Ash against.
And he's like a little dude.
Yes.
So she can.
But it still felt like kind of more like I wouldn't have blinked if it was a male character doing it. Where I
Yeah.
did kind of like, oh, had a moment of like, oh wow, the
it's like
female
she
character's
just
like
got to her
manhandling,
breaking point though.
and she's so justified.
Yeah.
Because like she's realized that like he's here to like they could all die and he wouldn't care at all or even really try to prevent it. Like they're just not even a priority.
If anything,
not
he
even
would
like try to
just.
keep the crew alive. It's just
Right.
like
He would kill them if needed.
yes,
He tries.
Yep.
yeah.
In the strangest way possible.
That's so weird.
Oh yeah, because I think that's the scene that it immediately leads into. I wonder if like she jogged something loose by slamming him because that's when he kind of starts acting weird. He like blocks her way. She's trying to run to the crew to like talk to them. He shuts the door in front of her.
He does to
they have
her
the-
what she had done to Dallas in the beginning.
To get him to talk to
her. But this time it was more sinister.
Yes. Because Ripley did that out of frustration. It was like, stop walking away from me. I need to talk to you. Literally, so we can do our fucking jobs.
This is more Goosebumps. I am in danger.
Yes. This is like,
I can't
he might
let
kill me right now.
Yeah, I can't let you
jeopardize the mission.
Yeah, jeopardize the
mission.
You
are expendable.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, and then he starts like, there's like one little droplet of like milky white whatever running down his forehead.
Cum.
That's the beginning.
Stop. I mean,
milk. Cum. Yeah, I don't know. But it's very gross. And that's the start. Like, that's kind of the first indication we get, like, overt that, like, he's not human. Because we don't know, that's not established.
If you're watching this movie, you don't even know that's a thing.
Yeah, they haven't even introduced the concept of androids.
I had forgotten.
Yeah, you didn't even know there were robots until... But, like, that's the first sign, and then he starts kind of glitching a little bit. Like, he's attacking her physically, but it reads as so freaky, because, like, his actions don't quite make sense. He's moving really jerky.
His eyes are, like, bugging out.
Yeah, and then, of course, he takes that, like, magazine, a rolled-up magazine, and tries to, like, shove it down her throat. And it is so freaky. And it's also, like, a weird mirror of, like, the aliens, like, facehugger implantation. Like, he's almost, like, emulating the alien in a sense. Like, because he later has, like, a whole speech about how he admires it. Like, its hostility is matched only by its structural perfection or something like that. So, yeah, it's almost like he's emulating the alien. And then her coworkers, like, come to rescue her, and they're, like, whacking on him with, like, a bat. And his head just, like, flops mostly off, but it's hanging by his, like, synthetic skin. But just, like, upside
Nearly
down.
headless Ash.
He's still going.
He sprays his semen all over the, like, maintenance worker's face.
Yes, all over Yaphet Kotto's face.
Yeah.
So they finally, like, disable him. They just, like, beat the shit out of him until he stops moving. And his head is, like, fully ripped off. But then Ripley's like, you know what? We may need him because he might be the only one who knows how to kill it. Because that's their main priority now is, like, we got to find this thing and we have to kill it. No matter what.
Yep.
Because I think it's already, I don't remember who it's already killed at this point, but they've known that it's like creeping around in the air ducts.
At that point, it's killed everyone.
Hasn't it killed Dallas and...
Yeah, it's killed everyone. There's 4 of them left, which is why they couldn't go on the shuttle.
Right, the escape pod only seats 3, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, so 4 is not an option, and that's why Ripley shuts that down.
Yeah.
But then when Ash gets removed from the equation, Ripley's like, all right, that's all I needed. Let's go to the escape pod.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
But yeah, so they, like, revive his, like, severed head. There's a great kind of matching shot of, like, the prosthetic fake head, like, that they're trying to prop up. And then it cuts to, like, Ian Holm, like, sticking his head out of the floor.
I always love when that's in a movie. Like, it's not always done that well.
No, this was a well-executed one.
This one looked good.
Like, the seams still kind of show, but it works great. And he's kind of, like, in weird, like, mellow, like, post-death mode. He has a much more, like, robotic voice. He's speaking a little more dispassionately, even though he does have a creepy smile at that one moment. And what does he say? Yeah, he talks about he admires the organism. I don't think he really answers when she says, like, how do we kill it? Because obviously he doesn't want it to be killed.
No, he's not going to help.
Really amazing acting by Ian Holm in that scene. Like, his, like, weird shuddering eyelids. And
I had chills.
And it really prefigures some of the acting done much later in the Westworld TV show. It really reminded me of how those androids act. When they glitch, like, Dolores' dad acts, like, has those same mannerisms that Ian Holm, like, probably invented for this movie. He just, like, nails it and is so sinister and, like, slimy, but also totally cold and inhuman and robotic. And in some ways, he is the alien to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that that's definitely left open. Is, like, what is the alien in this? Like, who's the monster? That kind of thing.
Oh, another thing that struck me that I never thought about before. The alien is also freaky because, like, how did it get so big? It doesn't eat anyone. It's not eating people. It doesn't seem to be feeding on anything else. It just kills and grows.
No, kind of the way I assumed it was is that it's killing them off to create a safe environment to lay its eggs. But, like, I think it's left open to interpretation because the point of the movie isn't spill all the lore, give us all the explanations,
right?
Like, tell it all to death, have, like, there could have been a much worse version of this where at some point Ash, like, when he's, like, decapitated, just goes off and does an exposition dump explaining all of his motivations.
And, like, this is how the company knew that there was
we knew what this specimen was. We knew it would do XYZ. This is how it was created. This is what this corpse was you found at the beginning. Like, a worse version of that probably was thought about. And
thankfully,
Ridley Scott did not do that to us. Yeah, and Dan O'Bannon did not do that to us.
Yes.
O'Bannon.
Dan O'Bannon.
Dan O'Bannon, I'm looking at it.
Yes, who is the screenwriter and also
Return of the Living Dead guy.
Yeah, he also wrote and directed Return of the Living Dead, and also he co-wrote with John Carpenter's very first film called Dark Star.
Oh yeah.
Which included a scene of like an alien stalking people on a ship, and that idea was explicitly reworked by Dan O'Bannon into the movie Alien. So it came from his John Carpenter collaboration, even though like Dark Star is nothing like Alien.
Yeah, no, it's like not scary.
Like, but in some ways it's almost like a conceptual spin-off.
Yeah.
Which is cool that like
he wanted
went from
to make
John
it
Carpenter
right.
to Ridley Scott. Like, that's fucking cool.
He wanted to make it right, and he did.
Yeah, and he, you know what? Props to him, because Alien and Return of the Living Dead are both like 10 out of 10 movies to me.
So, can I jump ahead and pose a question?
Please.
Because I think we could talk about this forever, but like, and this is me maybe being spicy and a hater again, but like, has there ever been a really original Alien movie after Alien? Like, within the franchise? Because I love Aliens, but it's Alien again, but like action.
Yeah.
With like, you know, Space Marines.
Alien 3 is even more Alien again, because it's not action, it's just trying to be like one alien horror.
I mean, it kind of retcons some stuff. Like, I think the alien in that one does have to, like, eat things to get bigger. I can't remember Aliens.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look with you.
But it also gets birthed out of, like, a dog
A
or
dog.
something.
It's the dog
so
that...
It's slightly
that,
different.
It is a little different. Don't watch Alien. You wouldn't like it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not good.
Yeah.
But
It's not
a dog,
pot, I won't watch
a dog
it.
dies in it.
David Fincher's first film. And
It's not
he
his
hates
fault.
It.
It's not
no,
his
it's
fault.
not his fault.
It's not his fault. It's a corporate fail.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well,
but
Resurrection.
I guess
it's
that
kinda
is the
different.
most. I guess that is the most different one. But you still have like a secret android with a different agenda.
It's still hitting a lot of the same beats. But I
You
will say
have
that's for the
aliens
most.
in the vents. The xenomorphs are in the vents. Like, it has some different beats. Like, the evil corporation has its agenda. It's like the same themes and beats again, just done more sloppily.
And a lot more like cloning.
Yeah, the cloning stuff. Like, I would say Resurrection's maybe the most creative
Yeah.
out of the sequels.
Conceptually creative, at
Like,
least.
obviously, Aliens is the best sequel.
Yes.
But, like, just thinking about, like, even, like, Covenant and Prometheus, it's, like, again. It's the same shit again. And, like, yes, I'm going to watch them all. But, you already did it perfectly.
Yeah.
You did it perfect the first 2 times.
Prometheus and Covenant, I feel like, have really different ideas, like, in its treatment of, like, the engineers and that whole plot thread. But in terms of, like, the alien monster, that's treated basically the same. It's stalking people on a ship
And the androids are the same.
yeah.
The androids are the same as
There's
Ash.
an evil android.
They're just hotter
Yeah.
and, like, more, I don't know,
Fassbender,
gay.
Fassbender fingers other Fassbender's flute in
no.
Alien Covenant. He said, "I'll do the fingering."
Oh.
That's a real line from Michael
I
Fassbender
remember it.
to Michael Fassbender in that movie.
You know.
And it is kind of the highlight
Sure, he
of that
said it
movie
to
for
himself
me.
before.
It's the only part I really remember.
But no, it's like the same shit again. Like, oh, they're beautiful and they're perfect and you're all expendable. And it's like the same shit with the alien. It's the same shit for Wayland Corp. It's like the same stupid space truckers or scientists blundering around, getting impregnated. Like, a competent lady trying to survive and getting killed off
Yeah,
screen.
definitely some of the. I do think Prometheus is probably the most different because it has so much themes about like meeting your creator, like were we made, or like what is our humanity, what is it like to meet God and like have God reject you? Like that's like what he was going for, I think.
My
So
Prometheus is, well, I've always approached it as a standalone. Always, I saw it one time in theaters, and
that's still always.
yeah, always. And as someone who's clearly not seen all of the Aliens everythings, in my head, Prometheus is just like different.
Yeah, I kind of don't.
Come in with my outside Samantha perspective here.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like well, I already said I like don't see any of them as like canon to the first two movies.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Prometheus is just kind of a fun like, what if this is where they came from? Like it's kind of not because Ridley Scott didn't quite connect the dots just like plot wise.
No, he did.
I don't think so.
Okay, so the way I followed it was, and I could be wrong about this. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But but I think it's insinuated is that David from Covenant, the evil David, is the one who creates the xenomorph as we know it. Because he's tinkering.
There's a proto-xenomorph
He's tinkering with the goo. There's like in Prometheus, we don't see anything that looks like a xenomorph. We see things that look like giant face huggers and stuff like that. We see abomination
there's like a xenomorph, like that's not quite a xenomorph, but there's like it's like they call it like the protomorph.
Yeah, it's a protomorph, and then you get closer and closer in Covenant to where you have things that are very recognizably like similar to xenomorphs. And it's like implied that he's the one who used humans to create this specific like species
right,
of
but
xenomorph.
Then how did it come out of the ancient alien in the wreckage? Like
No,
it
no,
didn't
no,
come
it's
from a human.
It's
That's the
it's like
xenomorph that we know.
retconned. It's like retconned.
Well, that's what I mean. It doesn't.
Yeah,
For me,
no,
it doesn't connect the dots.
No, because it's stupid.
Yeah.
But like the idea is that like he puts the slides or whatever and the infection into the colony ship that's gonna go to this colony planet that's in Aliens. Like that's kind of how I read that. Was that he's like connecting it all to Aliens, and then no, it doesn't make sense because I'm sorry, Covenant was stupid. It had
Covenant was really stupid.
It had some great body horror, some like disgusting moments, but like not the smartest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not claiming that he didn't try to connect it.
Oh,
but
it just
for me,
didn't
it
work
just, like,
for you?
really failed.
Because it doesn't work.
Yeah. Because I'm like, why is this like human-specific xenomorph like coming from this egg that's in this like ancient engineer ship? And like, there was an engineer who seemed like he was gonna fly away at the end of Prometheus, but then he doesn't. You know, it just like
No, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. But I think
And
that
it doesn't
there's
matter,
I think
but-
the idea is there. But no, like as a I guess self-loathing alien franchise completionist who's seen AVP2.
I also have now.
Oh. My condolences.
Well, C is putting it strongly.
Why, 'cause
the
it's
darkest
impossible to
film
see
ever,
anything?
And you can't make out what's happening, so
It's funny because
I listened to it.
it's like the only alien movie that takes place just like outside predominantly, and you still see nothing. You see less than you do
Yeah.
inside an Antarctica pyramid, less than you see inside a dirty, dark spaceship,
Or a space prison.
or a dirty, dark space prison like 3. It is like the worst lit.
Yes, like shockingly so.
Yeah, it's bad.
But yeah, oh yeah, that was we were talking about your question of, did any of them do anything original? So the answer is like, they kinda tried a couple times.
I would not be useful on this ship. I can say that with confidence. Like, there are horror movies I think I could survive. Alien would not be one of them. I would not survive it.
I would definitely be working on in the collating section, I think.
You'd be more science officer side, like
Science support.
right. Like you're staying on
Do
the
not
ship
send
when
me out unless we know it's safe.
Well,
I
as
will not be
as the
investigating.
assistant science officer, you would have been up close and personal with the face hugger without proper PPE.
But maybe you would
Not
have
this
insisted.
bitch.
Yeah.
Not this bitch. That would not have been happening.
I was saying I would be wearing the full spacesuit they were wearing
Oh,
outside the
yes.
ship if I were going to go into that.
Even
med
that
bay.
wouldn't have been enough.
And I
No, but
I
it
would
would have
not
been
be
more
in
than
there.
the nothing they
it would
were
have
Yes,
been
wearing.
correct.
nothing.
I would have the flamethrower.
Yeah.
I would have so many knives. And you know what? I would drop them all immediately, go, just kill me quick.
Knife culture.
Just do it. Knife culture. Kill me quick, kill me quick, kill me quick. Do not drag it out. Don't put anything down my throat. Not a face hugger, not a rolled paper. Not a thing.
Yeah, that's true. Like the kind of the best fate you can hope for in this movie is to just be killed by the
So quick.
xenomorph.
Oh yeah.
Because he
Quick.
just his little mini mouth comes out and he just punctures your skull or whatever.
I
and
think
you're
what was
dead.
his name? Henry Dean Stanton was like the best one, and
Yeah, Harry Dean Stanton like went quick.
like he
and
went quick, and he wasn't like as scared yet as everyone else was.
He was looking at a cat before he died. That's kind of
He
nice.
got his little shower before.
Yeah,
I'm
he
not
got
over it.
He
got his
slurped
little
up his
drink.
dirty water.
And this is coming from someone who recently reminisced about how much I love, in the summer, a good drink of water from the hose.
They were gonna say Coke milk.
I didn't know
I was
what
not
was.
gonna bring it
I
back
did
up.
not know what you were gonna say because I have like no faith.
That's fine. That's fine. And that's fair.
Sorry, guys. The trust is being eroded in real time.
And the thing is, I just really need y'all to understand that the Coke milk will never die. But, yeah, so coming from someone who, childhood summer, hose, it's good water. But I
Yeah.
was still gagging watching Harry Dean Stanton's
But that's like
shower.
filtered city water that is running through a rubber hose.
Yes.
Like,
there have
it's
been
not
bugs
the most
in the
immaculately
hose.
clean, but
Let
like,
it run a little bit.
you know the original source of the water, and it's the same as what's coming out of your faucet. This is just like assorted ship condensation that he's just slurping on.
No.
I'm still thinking about how I'm gonna start calling your Coke milk like android blood.
Go for it. I'll still drink it.
So this is my film thesis that I've been telling Brett for years.
Yes.
Is that Ridley Scott is obsessed with cum and that we are made of cum and people are filled with cum, and that's why when he makes people
It's a big
that
assumption.
I'm making it, he can come for me.
Oh.
And he might. He's
he
a
might.
curmudgeon.
No, he would just say like shut the fuck up and move
Yeah.
on with his life. But like, or maybe he would agree with me. But I think like he is obsessed with semen. Like, it is not just in this movie. Like he is always and Raised by Wolves, the androids in that, which are not canonically have anything to do with this universe, are also filled with semen.
What about Blade Runner?
They're probably filled with semen, and then they color corrected it or something. He probably wanted them to be. I think the problem with Blade Runner is the point is that they're just people.
Yeah.
So maybe you can't have them as semen-y.
Yeah.
But there's a cut somewhere out there where there is semen.
Well, it's probably one of the 17 cuts that Ridley Scott made of Blade Runner, because he's, I think, still releasing cuts of that movie.
Really?
Yes.
There's
he's
one.
made like 4.
There's one where Harrison Ford is giving like the most no shits given narration.
That's the theatrical.
No, but like one where
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like talking about like, I saw an android filled with semen, and it made me think about
How I was
how
filled
they
with semen.
dream and
Oh.
how we're all filled with semen.
Do
and,
androids dream of electric semen?
Uh,
Yeah, you've been very consistent in that theory.
I believe it. I have not been proven wrong.
Yeah, I have not been able to disprove it, nor have I seen Raised by Wolves.
Like, well, spoilers. There are androids and they are filled with semen.
That's the
They bleed semen.
1/2 things I know about it, depending on how you count it. Should we talk about the very end?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so Ripley is trying to, at this point, like, everyone is dead. Ripley has realized that she needs to, the ship has an auto-destruct feature that she can institute. And it has,
Because she has read the manual, probably.
yeah, that was an observation I made, because it's a very complicated, she has to unscrew a panel to pull down 2 levers, which brings up a thing from the floor where there's like 1,000,000 buttons, and she's just like pressing buttons and turning dials, and like she like flawlessly institutes the self-destruct. And I was like, I know for a fact she's the only one on that ship who even knew how to do that. Like, they covered it in training and like no one else paid attention, or like it was in the manual and no one bothered to look at it.
Like, if Dallas had to do it, he would probably have to get the manual out. Like,
Yes,
he knows where the
probably
manual
could have,
is.
like, made it work, but yeah, he couldn't have done it like she did. But yeah, so she institutes the cut down. Her and her cat. We forgot to mention Jonesy the cat. Very sweet final boy of the movie. He's in his little space cat carrier. And so she's like running, she and Jonesy running to the escape pod, but she rounds a corner and there's the xenomorph.
In the way.
And she like sinks down against the wall. And I love that shot because she just looks so like terrified and like defeated.
Like, gotta
Yeah, but she rallies, like
yep.
she like uses that energy to like bring her back up. She retreats. She's like, okay, I gotta stop the self-destruct because my way to the escape pod is blocked. I'll
With
have to
like
find another way.
3 minutes to spare, 2
Like
minutes
I
to spare.
said last night, I have literally been in this moment when walking into my living room and finding a cockroach. Like, that's the fear I feel.
Like the her sinking down against
Correct,
the wall.
that's
in
it. When you're
terror.
like, I have to deal with it if I'm going to, I can't burn the house down with me in it. So
Yeah.
that was my aside. Thank you.
No, that I kind of agree.
Thank you.
So yeah, so with 30 seconds left, Mother starts counting aloud down to like the last chance to cancel the self-destruct bitch, like get a move on. And so Ripley is like frantically button mashing. There's these cylinders that
my
like
breath.
are like automatically lower.
She's like trying to push
pushing
them.
Yes!
to make them go faster.
Like, it's gonna happen.
And you really feel the tension because she's just like, she's doing everything she can, but like, we've got like 10 seconds
And
left.
she doesn't make it.
And she like doesn't quite get the levers. Like,
Which I love.
Yeah.
I love that it didn't work.
me too. And like, not for lack of trying,
Yeah.
not for incompetence, just situations happened where she just didn't quite get it done.
It's set up
And you
to
move
be
on.
it's set up to be difficult to arm,
Yes.
but then you have to do it all backwards,
yeah.
Right.
to
It is
disarm it.
Which does make sense. It's a very drastic thing. Obviously, they don't expect
Where was
anyone
the
to
kill
really do it.
switch?
Right. But yeah, so then just like self-destruct is proceeding. She yells at Mother.
Bitch.
Mother's like, it's too late to stop that. And Ripley goes, you bitch, and throws something at her. And I know like everyone loves Get Away From Her, You Bitch, from Aliens. It's clear that like James Cameron like made that moment as like a reference to this
Yeah.
one where she's raging against Mother, who's also kind of at this point the face of just like corporate.
Yeah,
like,
Mother is a bad guy.
Yeah, Mother is another
Say,
primary
don't
villain.
we all rage against Mother?
That's a different podcast. That's our spin-off podcast, Mom Talk.
Mom talk.
We had our first episode yesterday, but it was not recorded.
Yes, I would say Mom Talk is whenever the recording isn't on.
Yes.
Yup.
You'll never hear it, but it is a podcast that's ongoing. Yeah, so she still makes her way to the escape pod. Like, the way is clear. The alien is not in her path. And at this point, also, that's her only option.
Yep.
There's nothing else to do. She has to go to the escape pod if she dies on the way like that. You know? Mm-hmm. That she's going to die anyway. But she and Jonesy make it on the escape pod. They blast off with not a moment to spare, because there's a big explosion like 10 seconds after she blasts off. And she is just like, she's like, I got you. Didn't she say that? Like, the ship explodes, and she's like, I got you. Like, that's her like little moment of
Yeah,
triumph.
she doesn't know she's in a slasher.
Yeah, this is where that slasher movie structure comes in. Final girl thinks she's safe and she's defeated the bad guy, but
Now you're in a smaller space and more naked.
her
and
guard
now
is
you-
down. She's nearly nude. She's in just like her underwear. I
They're
think-
too little.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense because she's like
Crack
getting ready to
kills.
go into that like hypersleep or whatever, which they were all in their
Yeah.
undies at the beginning. So like,
To be
Whatever.
fair,
Yeah.
that's a normal sleep time deal.
yes, yeah. So like, it feels a little gratuitous to like have her in her undies for that scene, but like, there is a explanation. She doesn't just strip down for the hell of it.
And I'm so happy she was at least in her undies.
Yes.
Could have been worse.
But so she's like,
Or it could have been
tootling-
better.
She's like tootling around the cabin, just
I'd
like,
say I wasn't mad.
yeah. I mean, I'm never mad. I like my horror movies with tits.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even as a gay,
What?
yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm just coming out left and right on this episode. This is a very special episode of the
It's a
pod.
safe space.
But yeah, so she's like tootling around the escape pod, getting ready for her and her little cat to have a little cat nap in space.
Yeah.
And she's like, walks up to this control panel, she hits a button, and the thing above it moves, and it's the alien's head, and it's right fucking there in front of her.
It was like its hand flops out.
And then it starts lifting its
And
head.
then she realized it's in
Ah!
And so it's like,
It was sleeping.
yeah, which I thought was cool. That like, and added to the tension. It's not in attack mode.
She has
Yeah.
a moment to
Yeah.
collect herself and plan.
And she is so freaked out,
Yeah.
but so determined. And I think that's really where she shines. Like, her acting really shines in the movie. She's like singing this like song to herself to like self-soothe. You are my lucky star. And she's like can barely like, choke out the words because she's like so panicked. She like retreats, gets like whatever protection she can, which is the spacesuit. And she's like formulating her plan on the fly. Yeah, and we don't need anything more to add to that.
And she knows her plan is like nuts.
Yeah,
and,
it's such a last
and it's a
effort.
risk. And she pulls it off.
She did it.
And she blows that fucker out of the airlock into space.
And then incinerates
Yeah.
it.
It's so good because also she has her little like harpoon gun thing. Because she opens the airlock, it like everything's like getting sucked out. The alien is sucked out, but he catches himself
Yeah.
on the door. And for a second I was like, oh fuck. But then she thought about that, so she has like a harpoon gun. She shoots him right in the chest, and he like gets knocked out of the door frame. He's still hanging on the outside of the ship. Like, he's not just, like, totally yeeted into space. But then she turns the engine on. It's, like, crawled up into, like, the, I don't know, the exhaust port or whatever. She turns the engine on, and it blasts that alien, that fucker, out into space.
Is the xenomorph a man?
Yes, in the sense that it would
He's
be
an
coded as,
aggressor.
like, a drone, like, worker ant with, like, a
I guess
queen.
there
It'd be
is
like-
one
Oh.
mother. There's one mother. And we
So,
need
like,
her.
yes, but I mean, no, it's not male or female, but in the, like, ant metaphor, I guess it would be male. But yeah, so she and Jonesy,
Survive.
she gives her little sign off. She's like, this is Ellen Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo, signing off.
And she lives happily
And I-
ever after.
No one has ever lived less
Before-
happily ever after than Ellen Ripley.
Before that part, I do want to talk about the music.
Yes.
As, you know, things have wound down and there's that beautiful piece. And I was wrong last night when I was like, oh, it's Les Preludes that they play at a certain music camp in northern Michigan that I attended. It's not that, but it is. Let me bring it up. Symphony Number 2 by Howard Hansen. And the reason I connected it to that music camp is the special thing is they play part of that piece at the end of every concert. So it's like the wind down where
Okay.
you play it at the end, it's peaceful, and you don't applaud after, you just leave with the music. And that's how I felt with this movie too. It's like you're, after all she had to go through, all Ripley had to go through, it's like you're finally at, I did the damn thing. Now it's time to chill. We can just move forward and deal with aliens later on. But when I was looking this up too, I saw a fun fact on Wikipedia.
Which means it's true.
Which means it's 100% true.
Thank you.
That Hansen, the composer, was not happy about the theme being used in the closing credits without his permission, which I get,
Yeah.
but decided not to fight it in court, which I also get.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because movies were the fucking Wild West in the 70s. Those directors were wild and they were torturing cast and crew. They were doing unlicensed chase scenes through busy streets. Like, Ellen Burstyn was, like, jerked back in the filming of The Exorcist and, like, had permanent back problems because the director said pull her a lot harder. And you can, like, see her reaction because she reaches for the harness because her, like her
She's not
back
the
got
only
fucked.
one who got back problems
No,
in that movie.
no, literally Linda Blair also
Yes,
did from like
the
her
bed.
jostling in the bed. And like, so yeah, just in the 70s, just anything went, I think.
I mean,
William Friedkin
you're
also like fired a gun on set every so often just to keep people on
yeah,
their toes.
people freaked out.
Yeah.
Even into the early 80s. I mean, you're wearing a Frankenhooker shirt, and that has so many stolen shots.
Yes. Yeah, people just running around New York, and you're like, this is not. They did not shut down this street.
They did not get a
license
license for this. They did not
This
get
is
a
not filmed in collaboration with the like New York City.
The sex
arts and
workers
culture.
in this movie
Yeah.
that they're filming.
Yeah, so, which is kind of fun, that like Wild West, but yeah, it does definitely lead to some, like, they'll just put in whatever music they want. Like, anything goes.
I mean, I love that they did this here.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, me too. Also, I liked the score earlier when they're getting to the planet. There's that kind of eerie, that theme that plays, and I thought that was really, like, memorable and eerie.
For me, it was just sound design. Like, there's the scene where they have just exited the, like, shuttlecraft or whatever, and they're going towards the alien spaceship, and it's just, like, torrential rain, and it's so miserable, and then it just hard cuts to, like, Bilbo chilling in his, like, kind of clean,
His weird
quiet
chair.
room in his big chair, and he's just sitting there, like, you know, happy as a pig and shit, just, like, comfortable.
Happy as an android and cum.
Yes, happy as an android filled with cum. And he's just sitting there so comfy, and they're all just
Comfy.
out there. And they're all just out there, and it's just it just keeps cutting.
Yeah, that jarring.
And it goes back
sound
to him, and
design.
it's just like silent, except for like, you know, his chair squeaking and
Mm.
him talking. And then it cuts back to them, and it's just like noise. And it's just like, he knows, right?
Yeah.
Like what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, the sound design is used to like highlight those like differences, like make Ash seem more sinister in ways that like aren't necessarily immediately apparent, but it's just really good filmmaking. Also, this was Ridley Scott's second film he directed. And that man is still churning out like a movie a year. he is so prolific and so uneven. He has some really amazing movies and some quite poor ones.
I mean, I really, really like Napoleon, but I went into that not being a weird Napoleon stan.
Well, he also made...
Is it horror?
He also directed G.I. Jane. He directed Hannibal, that Silence of the Lambs sequel, which is bad, unfortunately, in my opinion.
Oh.
We'll cover it. We'll cover it on
Okay,
the
we'll talk about it. House of Gucci. He's making Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
Like, he's just an uneven
Well, he just does whatever the
filmmaker.
fuck he wants.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really like Raised by Wolves, personally.
Well, I don't really care that much for Blade Runner.
I don't like
That's
Blade
my hot
Runner.
take is I love Blade
don't like
Runner.
Blade Runner.
I love Blade Runner 2049.
Same.
And I don't really care for the first one.
Same.
Oh, well,
I love the world.
First one because of Mr. Blonde Robot Man.
Oh.
But that tracks for
Well,
me. So
he's the best part of that movie.
Yeah.
he is.
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer in that. Yeah, that's great. But anyway, maybe that's another episode. But yeah, Ridley Scott, I mean, he really knocked it out of the park with this. Like, the script is fantastic. It's, like, so well directed. It's so well cast.
There's no fat on it.
Yeah, and, like, it was such a big deal at the time, and it still stands the test of time. Like, it's just, like, an incredible movie. Like, the worst thing you could possibly say about it is that it shows its age. And that's not a negative. That's just a neutral thing. Like,
Well,
it doesn't.
It doesn't take me out of it. And
No, me
I'm
neither.
someone who's really bad about watching older movies. I like them current. But Alien, I wasn't thinking, wow, this was made a long time ago. I
Except
was
when
in
they
it.
do anything on computers and it's squares and lines. Well, I can't wait to see them make Alien again with, what is it called? Romulus?
Alien Romulus. Yes, let's talk about that briefly.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong, okay? But, like, as we're recording this, I don't know anything about it because I don't look up anything about movies before I see it. But I am fully expecting it to be, yet again, the same shit. And that is me, again, hoping I'm wrong. But I'm assuming it's going to be, like, people get impregnated and there's an evil robot or something, and it's just the same shit again.
That's definitely a safe bet. But I must say, at least that's a movie, like, in the Alien franchise that is doing Alien again. Because there are also a billion other movies that are not related to Alien that are just Alien. Like, have you seen the movie Life?
I have seen Life,
It's
and
Alien.
I actually was gonna, when I was watching Alien, I kept thinking about a little movie that couldn't, called Galaxy of Terror.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I mean, it's Alien.
Yeah.
It's just with weirder monsters, and it's very famous for a horrible, horrible rape scene.
Yeah, I know this one you're talking about.
I was about to ask if I should add it to the list, but that made me less.
Well, I mean, what's interesting about Galaxy of Terror is, like Dark Star, James Cameron worked on the art design for Galaxy of Terror, and then I think used a lot of his ideas when he made Aliens. So, and there are some fun things about it, like Robert Englund is in it, and like it has some interesting moments, but a lot of it is just beat for beat Alien again.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't mind that so much just because if you're making just like horror movie about an alien set in space, that there's only so many iterations of that.
I mean, I liked Galaxy of Terror more than I liked Life. I did not care for Life.
I didn't really care for Life either.
Although it did have that one scene, spoiler alert, where Ryan Reynolds dies horribly.
Yeah.
And that was shocking.
It was.
That was shocking.
Yeah, it had its moments, but yeah. So I don't know. The sequel, it's called Alien Romulus. It's being directed by Fede Alvarez, who I have enjoyed some of his past work. He made the 2013 Evil Dead remake,
Which is good.
which I really love, actually. I really love that one.
It's very good.
And he also made 2016's Don't Breathe.
Which I have complicated feelings.
I've also complicated feelings, but I gotta say, in theaters, like the tension, the like stress of that movie, like people talked about A Quiet Place and how like people were like so quiet in the theaters because like Don't Breathe was even more like that for me. It was just like everyone was like on edge for the first half or so,
Do you
and then it
think
takes a
that Ridley
turn,
Scott
perhaps.
watched Don't Breathe and was like, that's my guy, when he saw the semen?
Yes, this is Mel's unified theory of Ridley Scott semen, and yes, I actually do think that. Yeah, so
Don't Breathe.
spoilers for Don't Breathe.
There's semen in it.
and it's
and it's explicitly semen.
yes, it's not android goop; it's actually semen.
And on that note,
Yeah. So I like some of his work. This sequel might be good. I can't imagine it will be great, but
I would love to be wrong. I would
Yeah.
love to be wrong.
I feel cautiously optimistic.
But
I would say.
after Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, AVP, AVP 2, Prometheus, and Covenant, I am not expecting to see something that blows my mind in a good way.
Yeah,
That's
I
just
agree.
me.
Well, and to the franchise's credit, lightning almost never strikes in the same place twice, and the Alien franchise has 2 amazing all-timer movies. Like those first 2 are so great, and I don't think
They're both perfect.
anything outside of The Godfather can really say that it has 2 perfect installments that complement each other beautifully, and Cameron clearly really respected Ridley Scott's script and ideas. There was no retconning, there was no undermining. He just kept that world and kept the integrity of it so well. And yeah, so stay tuned. I'm sure one day we'll have a future episode about aliens where we'll geek out.
So where can people find us?
People can find us on Instagram,
Which
at
we're pulling up
I
right
believe
now.
Queer and Loathing Pod.
Pod.
Yes, at Queer and Loathing Pod on Instagram, unless I'm proven wrong, and then we'll re-record.
No,
Confirmed.
it is.
Queer and Loathing
Okay,
Pod.
no, I was right.
With AND, because there's
Yes.
no ampersand.
Not allowed.
Yeah, you fucking idiots. There's no ampersand.
You can follow me on Letterboxd at HaterTot.
You can find us on all of your favorite podcasting platforms and also maybe YouTube.
We will upload this places and you can find us. You actually don't have to like this. Just rate us 5
You don't have
stars.
to like it in real life. You just have to rate it highly online.
Yeah.
And tell a friend maybe.
Please.
All right. Well, guys, I think that's it for today.
Well, I am queer.
I'm Loathing.
And I'm Samantha.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.